Andre, how's it going?
Hey man, I can't complain. How about yourself, man?
Hey, it's been a wonderful weekend, Labor Day weekend. Hard to believe it's already September. That being said, football season, college football in particular, now underway. And another episode of Two Things, Two Questions. First question. Our man, Deion Sanders, has proven once again that he knows himself some football. All right. So, how can people in the football universe, given what Deion has already done on the field and now off, how can they continue to doubt this man?
They can't doubt it. At this point, if you say Deion can't get it done, then you just hating, man. And look, I was a Deion hater as an Eagles fan because he played for Dallas. I loved him in Atlanta and when he went to San Fran for that cup of coffee. But you got to respect the man. His football mind, it's his presence. It's the lure of playing for Deion Sanders. He'll get the most out of kids. You know what I mean? Just it's Deion. Like it's prime time. It's just the coach now, but it's still prime time. And what he did by taking that Colorado team on the road at TCU, hostile environment, the number 17 ranked team in the nation, and they went there, got the W 45-42. Shador Sanders just entered his name into the Heisman conversation. I know it's early, it's week one, but 510 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That we can start the conversation. Why not? If this is what a preview of what the season is going to look like, high octane offense, they got a great offense. It looked like those weapons they got, and then you got Travis Hunter, look like baby prime time out there. He defended a lot of passes, and they were trying him on his side, and he got an interception. He played the ball, broke up the pass a couple of times. He looked good yesterday. They got something to build on, man. And in the future, Deion going to have those top tier recruits that Nick Saban and Dabo and all of those guys go get. Ryan Days. He's going to be in the mix for a lot of those guys. And look, Deion is the talk of the town, and deservingly so, man. Shout out to Colorado for doing their thing yesterday afternoon, man.
Shout out to Colorado. As we were saying before we tapped in, I just don't think that enough football experts or non-experts understand how difficult it is to do what Deion just did. You have a team from Texas, right? TCU is from the great state of Texas, where it's like the cathedral of high school football, basically. And the Horned Frogs were in the national flipping title game last season, which of course means that they rode into that game with a program from top to bottom. You don't get to the college football playoff, let alone the title game, without having the coaching staff, the recruiting, the strength and development people, the equipment guys, everything functioning like a Swiss watch. Whereas Colorado, I mean, these guys have not been relevant on the football field since the late great Rashawn Salam was winning the Heisman Trophy for them.
Jeremy Bloom.
Back in the day, right? Back in the day. Darian Fagan, Eric Bieniemy. I mean, these are a
Cordell Stewart. Oh, man.
Cordell, Michael Westbrook. I mean, it's a long far cry back to those names, right? I mean, we haven't seen the Buffs, proverbially fuck them up since forever, right? And so all of a sudden, Deion just puts on the cowboy hat, takes on all of the lightning rod of, he's basically the lightning rod of college football.
Yes, he is.
And says, everybody get on my back. What does he say? He says, we're coming. He says, you got to believe. And when you watched that football game yesterday, one of the things that stood out to me was the size of the interior linemen from TCU side to Colorado side. And I mean, you can make plays on the edge in the first quarter, second quarter, but typically when the second half rolls around, those big bodies in the middle end up sort of like thumbing the scales of a football game. And what I felt was like just crazy inspiring watching the Buffs yesterday was because they never let up, right? And every single time one of his skill guys made a play, Travis Hunter, his own son throwing for 500 yards in a game, right? They just came back and kept making plays, which is totally an indication to the fact, like you said, these guys will go through a brick wall for Deion Sanders.
It's Deion, man. It's prime time. These guys believe. You know what I mean? When Deion step in the room, the command, he commands the respect of a room. You know what I mean? It's certain guys that just have that lure on you. It's like, look, Allen Iverson. You know what I mean? If Allen Iverson, if he was to ever like coach the youth, the youngins, because of what he was to the culture, you know what I mean? Everybody respect AI. You feel me? It's the same thing with Deion. Deion is a cultural icon. He was wearing the suits with the change, prime time, running with MC Hammer. He been a part of the culture. And these people, like, their kids is now in college playing sports, and their parents remember prime time. You know what I mean? You could go on YouTube and pull up prime time highlights. He's a legend. People gonna run through a brick wall for a guy like that. He's a motivator, man. And that's when you know, when you are a great motivator, you could get the most out of the kids, out of the youngsters. Yo, that's half the battle. Now it's time to put the pads on and put the work in. And who going? Trust me, prime time got them guys working. Shador looked like the same quarterback he was at Jackson State. He was putting up crazy numbers at Jackson State, but now he's on the big stage and he's able to showcase his talent. And I promise you this, he's going to be a number one pick. He's going to be a first-round pick. I ain't going to say number one, but he will be a first-round pick. If he have a crazy year this year, he might throw past for like 4,500 yards this year. He might even touch 5,000 the way that offense is built. He go crazy this year. He won the Heisman. He's going to be a first-round pick this year. I'm stamping that already.
I'll stamp that with you, and I'll take it up a notch, because look, if Baker Daggone Mayfield can be the number one pick in the NFL draft, right? Then Shador Sanders, from what we saw yesterday, he is playing within the rhythm of the game. He's playing on schedule. He did not look rushed or flustered or out of sync with his offense once.
He looked good. He ran the offense very well. Anytime he felt pressure or whatever, he got the ball out. He didn't turn the ball over. He made a couple of incomplete passes, but he didn't turn the ball over. And he was getting the rock out. Anytime he felt pressure, he was on the move with the feet, or he was getting that ball out. And he looked good as a quarterback, man. And he got the skill set of a Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? Gunslinger with the feet to match. Listen, man, it's going to be a long year for them opponents in the Pac-12 this year. I can't wait to see. Mark this. The game of the year for the Pac-12, UCLA, maybe Colorado. I don't know, because I want to say Colorado might upset USC this year, but I ain't going to go super crazy. But I'm going to say this. If UCLA play Colorado, I'm taking Colorado. They're going to get them. That's going to be a good game.
Playmakers play, right?
Yes, sir.
And these guys, I mean, to shout out a couple names, because they had 4 wide receivers top 100 yards in a game, right? Which is basically like it's like Madden stuff, right?
That's Madden, man. Come on, that's Madden.
That's like Madden stuff. So you got Dylan Edwards coming out the backfield. I think the guy had 4 touchdowns. Jimmy Horton Jr. This guy looks like a pro already.
Yes, he
right?
do.
Travis Hunter. I mean, you can't say enough about what Travis Hunter put on display, not just only his skills, obviously on both sides of the ball, but just his willingness to compete. I mean, the fitness level that you got to be able to have to be running up and down the field all bloody day in the Texas heat, Travis Hunter made it look easy.
Yes, he did. Listen, man, Travis Hunter looked like Charles Woodson. He looked like Champ Bailey. I'm willing to take it to that level. When Charles Woodson was at Michigan those 3-4 years he was there, he was a monster. He was an animal, dual threat. He opposite punt return, kickoff returns, wide receiver, cornerback. He did it all. Same thing with Champ Bailey when he was at Georgia. Same thing, playmaker. You got to put a guy like that on offense. And Deion was great when he had punt returns, kickoff returns, sometimes put him in the slot as a receiver. He could get busy on the offensive end too. So Travis Hunter definitely has that skill set where you could play him on both sides of the football. And look, who's to say he might be the Shohei Ohtani of football, man, where he might knock that ceiling down where the cornerback can play wide receiver in the NFL. I might do that. I might put that stamp on it. He might be so good, the NFL will make that rule where the cornerback can play wide receiver. You know what I mean? Whatever, because you don't really see that happen no more. You don't see that happen no more. He might come in and change that. He might be the Shohei Ohtani of NFL football, man.
I like that. I like that call. Let's just put a little star next to that one because as we all know, West Philly Hippie been known to stamp some things.
It's been a thing. It's been a thing. Players did it, but he's going to take that to the max. Like he'll be Deion on defense, and he'll be like a Marvin Harrison on offense, something like that. You know what I mean? Like that'll be crazy, man. That'll be crazy.
He looks so smooth and in control. The guy clearly understands just where to be on the field, just diagnosing things like basically all the great players know how to do. Okay. Second question. You already alluded to this already by mentioning Allen Iverson. Where does Deion Sanders rank on your list of all-time athletic personalities?
Oh yeah, he top 3. I'll go top 3. I mean, Mike wasn't a personality. He was more of a businessman, like cut from the Magic Johnson, Dr. J cloth. But Prime Time was flash. He was pizzazz. You know what I mean? He liked to throw his suits on with the hard bottoms, with the rolly watches, and got the chain on. You know what I mean? It's Prime Time with the cars, the Benzes. That's Prime Time. So I'm going to say Deion. AI. Would I throw Michael Vick in there? I'll throw Michael Vick in there. Damn. I'm trying to think. I think they top 3 right there. That's the top 3, man.
I think that's the top 3. And one of the things, so like, everybody in sports, boxing's big on this, right? Pre-game commentary, right? Back in the day when Lou Holtz was coaching for Notre Dame, he had this penchant for always talking about how great the other team was all week long, right? That was kind of like his thing. One of the things that I've always loved about Deion is he knows how to take that dial and turn it up or turn it back down, just depending on what he knows the moment needs. Like he like we've all heard him say that Prime Time was to an extent, something that he conjured and invented and packaged into its own brand, right? And he put that on display with this post-game speech yesterday where he was holding on to these receipts and he knew that he needed to keep his players motivated. And at the same time, he also knew, hey, if there's ever a time to let the national media understand just where he's coming from, it had to be yesterday.
Yeah, it had to be yesterday. Yes, it did, man. What a way. You got to start off with a bang, man. You had a lot of naysayers. You had a lot of doubters. You had a lot of people that, they said you couldn't take a program that was one game last year or whatever.
One game.
Man, you know what I mean? You're taking a shit show to clean it up and make it look, pretty again. You know what I mean? Who better to do that than Deion Primetime Sanders? Who better?
True. Nobody. I mean, no one. I mean, we see him in these ads with, Aflac and Nick Saban, and Deion understands exactly what the moment calls for. He's got unbelievable savoir-faire. And so when I just think about what he has now already set in motion for the rest of the college football season, you kind of just, it makes you as a player for him start to kind of ask those sorts of questions like, what if? Like, why not us? Like, what happens next? Right? Yeah. It's almost kind of like that anything is possible sort of mentality.
I agree, man. Look, Deion is a motivator. Like I said, he's going to be having monster recruiting classes. He's going to be up there with the Nick Sabans, the Dabos, all those guys to get the cream of the crops of the talents, the Georgias. That Georgia been going crazy on the recruiting class the last couple of years, having #1 recruiting classes. You got to watch out for Deion. Deion going to be a very attractive guy to go send your kid to, and the kids going to want to go there because he got that swagger. You know what I mean? You want to be around that, and you want to absorb that. You know what I mean? Look, the kids was playing in his old Nike primetime sneakers, man, for the cleats. You know what I mean? That's classic stuff, man. Deion bring that energy, man. I love Deion, man. I hated him as a Cowboy, but I respect him enough to say, yo, you were a legend, and I see it. You could get the most out of these guys. So they're going to play hard for you. You'll never have to question effort with the Colorado Buffaloes. They're going to bring it. And you better be prepared. They got a high octane offense, and they got talent on the offensive and the defense. Got to shore itself up. But when has the Pac-12 been known for defense?
Hey, this is true. This is true. I mean, you saw a little gap responsibility kind of situation kind of showing its head yesterday, but it's early. Deion knows defense. Clearly, the guy knows a lot of defense.
Oh, the name of the game is shootout. We're going to have a shootout. That's what the name of the game of the Pac-12. They going to beat up on their non-conference opponents when it come down to Pac-12 play. When they got to play the USCs, the Washingtons, the UCLAs. They are going to be great. The Pac-12 got some great matchups ahead, man. So, look, the Oregons, too, can't forget them. Look, it's going to be a great year of football in the Pac-12, man. Great year.
Oregon put up 81 points for a reason yesterday.
Come on, man. Bo Nix, come on, man. Come on.
That didn't happen by accident, usually, All right, so prediction time. We're so used to seeing at least guys from our generation, sort of these like show-stopping highlights with Deion Sanders, right? I mean, like you said, MC Hammer on the field back in the day, too legit to quit with the Falcons, like the whole situation, right? Then he goes to the Niners, then he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, where back in the day, making $35 million was a big deal for Deion Sanders.
It was.
Right? And he was the $35 million man for the Cowboys. Then he took a title to Dallas. But, fast forward, into this era where people from our generation constantly need to talk about, the differences between Michael Jordan and, say, LeBron, just because of what we know as recency bias, where we get to see LeBron on television kind of all the time these days, whereas you got to go to YouTube to watch MJ highlights. Thank goodness for The Last Dance, or else nobody would really remember just the greatness of the dude on your T-shirt.
Yeah. Hey, man, come on, man. Look, like I said, man, I hated this guy, man. But you know what I mean. Look, the sneakers. I listen. I love all Jordans, like almost like from the 3s all the way up to the 14s, baby. They are my favorites. The 11s are my favorites. He's a cultural icon, man. It's the Jordan. You know what I mean? This guy was a legend. You feel me? But when it come to Mike, like living during that era of him beating and holding Hall of Famers from winning championships, like the New York Knicks, not even just the Knicks, the NBA as a whole, teams that couldn't get by because he was in the way. When he retired in the summer of '93, they were so happy he was gone. Now that there's somebody else could go get a ring. Had Mike never retired, we don't know if they would have won 3, 4, 5 straight. We don't know. We don't know, but he had a grip. He had a lock on it. That's why I'm going to always say Mike held a lot of great players from getting rings. Now, a lot of players that you wouldn't call great now, like Brad Daugherty. Brad Daugherty was a great player for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers had a great team at that time. That was the second best team in some cases when they were going up against Mike. But they fell. Mark Price's, Craig Elos, they had good teams, Hot Rod Williams. But people don't remember Brad Daugherty. Brad Daugherty was a great player. Reggie Miller couldn't win because of Mike. I'm going to just go down the list of names.
Charles Barkley
got beat in '93. He beat Drexler in '92 when Drexler had the Trailblazers. He did get a ring with Houston. But I'm just naming the players that Mike held back. Mike held back Karl Malone and Stockton. Peyton got a ring later on in life, but when he was the glove, he couldn't get a ring. Him and Kemp, they couldn't beat Mike. Yo, who did LeBron hold back from getting a ring? No disrespect, but David West. I mean, who? Tell me who did LeBron really hold, like stranglehold the NBA and future Hall of Famers now that didn't get a ring? You name me some guys. Who did LeBron keep from getting a ring? DeMar DeRozan?
DeMar DeRozan. I was just going to say
Oh
DeMar
my
DeRozan.
God, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Stop with the BS. This is the GOAT right here. The GOAT. That's the GOAT.
So to your point, when I think about the performance, the excellence, the supremacy of MJ, I still think about Deion Sanders on the football field, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about somebody who was Devin Hester before Devin Hester, who took half the football field away before that was even really known for being a thing. And he was able to impart, to put his signature kind of style of how to play, how to rock a uniform, all the above on the rest of the guys around him, right? So that being said, though, today we look at Michael Jordan, at least a lot of people do, as being the owner of an NBA team, as being a billionaire with a big ass yacht, right? And in the same respect, I kind of yesterday begs the question with Deion. Will today's generation start to look at Deion as a better coach than he was even a player, right?
Hard.
It's hard. It's a hard question to ask. It's a hard question to ask, but even Deion yesterday in his post-game conference was so amazingly comedic, the way that he alluded to playing 4 years in college at a relatively high level. And then he says he played 14 in the league at a pretty high level. But he knows now, Deion does, that he is almost purely and simply judged by his ability to be a leader for young dudes on the field. And what I am seeing from this guy, as he also alluded to, whether it's going from Pop Warner to what he did in just absolutely bringing Jackson State to the top, to now what it appears like he is doing, obviously, with the Buffs, I think that he's ready for that Nick Saban kind of realm of competition. That's what I'm saying.
I can see that. You know what I mean? Look, this guy, like I said, he's going to be a master recruiter. He's going to bring in a lot of the top recruits in the nation. It don't even matter where they're at, whether Midwest, South, East Coast, West Coast. Them guys going to come out. Deion is it's just the lure of Deion Sanders. Who's going to turn that down? Now, as far as coaching, that's a hard ask, man. You know what I mean? We talking about Deion is arguably the greatest cornerback. You could throw Darrelle Revis' name in there. You could throw Champ Bailey's name in there. You know what I mean? Charles Woodson. But Deion, you know, it's Deion. It's prime time. So for him to exceed, like reach that level on the coaching side, that means he's going to be racking up national chips. And I know I don't want to talk about this now because we got years to come from this. But who's to say Florida State might fire their coach and they might want Deion to come back home? You know that I don't want to out there because now I'm Colorado fan.
This is what I'm saying. I personally think that the mark of today's coach or player, given the business environment that college football has become, right? Deion has already stated when he was on 60 Minutes last year in his final season at Jackson, he was saying, look, I'm a business person too. And so what I expect Deion to demonstrate is just that continual willingness to just basically bring his version of greatness to whatever address or zip code he eventually lands on. And I'm not
college sport. Look, I've seen Bill Self go from Tulsa to Illinois to becoming the man at Kansas after Roy Williams left Kansas to go back to North Carolina because it's Dean Smith. He comes from North Carolina. Coaches move around. Coaches rise in the ranks. Coaches get hot. Hey, VCU had Shaka Smart. When Shaka Smart was the hot name, what'd he do? He left VCU to go to Texas. That happens. It's a part of college sports. But it was what Deion brought to the BCU, the HBCUs, and the money he generated, because those are poorly funded universities, and he brought in a lot of money and resources. He was like the what was this? He was the infrastructure for the HBCU. So once he left, or when it was getting one that he was going to leave, a lot of people were upset. Look, coaches do this all the time. They rise in the ranks. They unless you at a prominent university like the Georgias or the Ohio States or the Alabamas, you know what I mean? Teams like that, the LSUs, the Penn States, you know what I mean? Where those are the bar setters for the universities, the USCs, those are traditionally the universities that, you know, those are the top schools to go to. You know what I mean? So look, Colorado, enjoy this ride as much as you can. Deion, listen, if that coach at Florida State, he got them ranked right now. They ranked, if I'm not mistaken, number 8 or number 9, something like that. They're in the top 10, if I'm not mistaken. But if the coach don't get it done, and Deion Sanders got Colorado, again, Colorado won one game last year. Colorado looked like Jackson State did when they was putting up 14-2 records and shit. Florida State gonna come calling his alma mater, and they're gonna come with the big bag. You can't knock Deion if he, you know, leave. Enjoy it though. We're not even talking about that. That ain't gonna come for another 4 or 5 years. Enjoy this while you can, brother. You listen, Colorado, y'all looking better than what y'all did previous. Y'all more talked about. Deion brought that same juice he brought Jackson State, brought it to the university. The season ticket holders, well, as soon as he became coach, they sold out. They sold out in the snap of a finger. So, look, man, he bringing that same lord that he had at Jackson State. He bringing that to Colorado. So enjoy it while y'all got it.
Hey, enjoy it while you got it. And you know what,
Yep.
Andre, as always, thank you for the insights. Thank you for the education. Tap into Mr. West Philly Hippie on Instagram and all the major channels out there. Andre, I'll see you next week.
All right, I'll see you next week, man.
All right.